All right, our guest is one of the great storytellers. He doesn't give the usual perspective, though. Big movie star. He can dance around that C major chord, and he's pretty handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Lou Diamond Phillips. What's up, Lou?
That is one of the coolest intros I've ever been given. Thank you very much.
Nice. Well, howdy, partner. I hear you're playing a cowboy these days.
I am indeed, which is funny because, I usually play the Indian. Yeah, man, this movie, Get Fast, which is, James C. Clayton co-wrote it, he directed, he stars. He's pretty fantastic. He looks like a young Ryan Reynolds, but he's got the stones of a young Tom Cruise. It's kind of a Guy Ritchie heist film that just drops you in the middle of a chase in the beginning and it just never lets up. And I say Guy Ritchie because there's so many like outlandish, colorful characters. Mine being one of them. This kind of charming, hayseed hitman called the Cowboy. So I had a lot of fun with it.
You think your character Cowboy is the type of guy to listen to some Buddy Holly? You think that's on his playlist?
Oh, I'm sure you listen to some Buddy Holly, maybe even to Ritchie Valens. You never know, but that'd be just a little too meta and too weird. More old school, man. More Hank Williams, I think. Dolly Parton, that kind of thing. You never know.
A lot of action in this film. I saw the trailer. I mean, there's planes flying, there's people jumping out of planes, explosion, lots of guns. I'm curious, are you handy with the steel, if you know what I mean? Do you go to the range and shoot a lot?
I do not, but for me, man, I've played so many cops and done so many action films, and I've stayed pretty current with all of that. So I know my way around the weapons. And every new job, you work with the armor, you work with the props guy, you make sure that everybody's safe and secure, and you familiarize yourself with the weapons that are being used. So. Strangely enough, I was always a knife guy, which comes in handy because I like to cook. So it was always doing stuff that was a little different and maybe a little more unique. Whether it was the knives that I did in both Young Guns 1 and 2 or The Big Hit or whatever. For any role, you kind of want to acquire or brush up on the skills that are required to make it look good on screen.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. That is, unless you're like me and have a bunch of nose hairs coming out of your nose, scruffy face, and you got to go to a holiday party and be around all your coworkers. Well, thanks to Manscaped, now I'm going to my holiday party looking very dapper. I picked up the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, and now I can save my dignity this holiday season. And my nose hairs, they're a thing of the past. I invite you to join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com and use the code BACKSTAGE for 20% off plus free shipping. Trust me, you're going to be the real MVP this grooming season. Yeah, and how about that ball aftercare? After a close shave, you want to give your most precious ornaments that much-needed TLC. They got the anti-chafing ball deodorant. It's going to keep you fresh, comfortable, and ready to slay all day this holiday season. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BACKSTAGE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code BACKSTAGE at manscaped.com. Stay on top of your grooming game and be ready for anything the season throws your way. I can't tell you enough to go check out the new action thriller, Get Fast. It's starring our guest, Lou Diamond Phillips. It's going to be available in all digital platforms and on demand coming up this Friday, November 15th. I heard you, Lou, say that La Bamba was your Cinderella story, that they plucked you right out of Texas, brought you to Hollywood. What were you doing at that time to get their attention?
Yeah, no, I was already working in the film business. I got my first professional gig in a comedy troupe called the 0 Hour in Fort Worth when I was 19, and was going to the University of Texas at Arlington, majoring in theater. So I was doing a lot of theater work, both at college and like at Stage West in Fort Worth. Professionally, I was doing smaller films, independent films like the Dallas series, some TV movies. So I was working in the business, and I was teaching. I was teaching film acting with a man named Adam Rourke, who is an amazing mentor, who taught me a whole different method, really based in just brass tacks, what to do on a set. So when this opportunity came along, I was ready for it. They did a national talent search. I went in like a bunch of other guys and auditioned. And they put me on tape in Dallas and then flew me out to Hollywood a couple of weeks later for a screen test.
How much guitar did you learn for that role? Did you know your way around that C major chord?
I had never played guitar. I had 1 week to learn the fingering of all of those songs. I'm very sorry to say I didn't stick with it. I fortunately was using, it's all 3-chord rock and roll. So, except for the solos. But yeah, man, I had 1 week and an amazing guitar instructor named Jim Fox, who was actually in the band in that big New York sequence, playing the guitar. But I mean, literally, every day, couple hours a day for the week, I had to rehearse, and then he was on set the entire time we were shooting the film. And any time I was not involved in a scene, I had to be with him, just going over that fingering.
One thing that blew me away when I see pictures of Ritchie Valens. You tell me, you know more about the situation than me, but he doesn't look like he's 17. There's some pictures where I feel like he looks like he's in his 40s or his 50s. Is there any rumors that possibly Ritchie was older than 17 when he passed away?
No. He was definitely 17. It's just, But the funny thing is, man, if you look back, a lot of those cats just came off a lot older than they were. Hairstyles and clothing and whatnot. So yeah, it's you can't really compare what a 17-year-old looks like now to what they look like back then. I mean, I have a daughter who's 17, and yeah, she, if you put her in the right clothes, she'd look like a stenographer or something. I guess she's 30, but yeah, it was a different time, most definitely.
It's also truly amazing at what Ritchie was able to accomplish at just 17, and yourself. You were doing a lot when you were in Texas at your age. I hear that you love playing poker. I would love to know, who would you have at your celebrity poker table if you wanted to have some fun and maybe win a few shekels at the end of the night?
Man, I have played against some of the greats. I mean, God bless him, Texas Dolly, Godfather of poker. I've actually Brunson, I played against him in a couple of tournaments back in the day in the 90s. Daniel Negreanu is incredible. Antonio Esfandiari, Greg Raymer. I've just been really fortunate to play against some amazing players, Annie Duke. It's fun. The one thing about poker is that, anybody can win depending on the cards. It's how you play consistently over the long haul, that makes you go home with money or not. And the second time I played the World Series just this last year, I cashed in the seniors event. I came in somewhere in the 140s out of 7,000 players. So yeah, I still dig it.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Well, the whole thing Kenny Rogers told us, man. You play by those rules.
As the song says. Yes, it's good advice.
So Young Guns, people love that movie. It still stands up to this day. So many young stars on that set with Kiefer Sutherland, Emilio Estevez, a young Charlie Sheen. At that time, you guys were all young. Who was the leader on the set? Who was the young actor that seemed to really have their chops at a young age?
There's no doubt. I mean, it's interesting. Art imitates life sometimes, and since Emilio was playing, Billy, he was kind of the de facto leader of the group. He was the one who always got the dinner reservations, or if there was a party, it was at his place. He'd been so used to ensemble acting for a long time. I think he knew what it took to really galvanize a cast. And that's true today. I actually just talked to him a couple of days ago. He's trying to get Young Guns 3 made. It's a definite possibility, and I wish him luck because it'd be great to get the band back together.
Lots of guns, lots of action in the new action thriller Get Fast, starring our guest Lou Diamond Phillips. Just one question before I let you go. I know you're very proud of your Filipino descent. You said you love cooking. You're very good in the kitchen making those kind of dishes. You've played Native Americans, Mexican roles. How have you navigated these portrayals throughout your career? And what are your thoughts on representation and authenticity when it comes to casting?
Wow, massive question. I'm one of the governors of the Actors Branch of the Academy, so we're still very much about getting artists from marginalized communities, making sure that we have the right amount of representation. And that's a flag that I've been waving since the 80s, man. I mean, there was a time when, I was one of the few brown guys around. And so when it comes to representing another community, I've always come at it, with respect. and done the research and tried to be specific. If I'm playing Lakota, I would go to the Lakota res. And when I did Henry Standing Bear and Longmire, I traveled on my own dime to the Reindeer Reservation in Montana to do ceremony and get their blessing. And so, the thing about where I was in the 80s and 90s, and where we weren't as specific as to DNA, I was able to represent a lot because they still aren't making a lot of movies about Filipino Scots-Irish dudes. So for me, it's always been being an ally and being a representative and representing those communities with respect. But also as a director, I'm about to go direct another episode of The Cleaning Lady, which has massive diversity in it. I have a book, coming out with my wife, The Tinderbox Underground Movement. That's a sequel to our book, The Tinderbox Soldier of Indira, a sci fantasy extrapolation of Hans Christian Andersen's The Tinderbox. But, as a content creator, my hero is Brown. He's a young brown guy. And if I ever get to make the miniseries, I want to cast an unknown young brown guy and pay forward the La Bamba karma, So it's making those decisions behind the scenes that keep the door open for other people coming in. And, as I said, being an ally when it's time to step up for other people.
Well, Lou, we appreciate all your great storytelling, and check out his Tinderbox series along with his very talented wife doing the illustrations. I highly recommend it. And, of course, the new movie, Get Fast. Get out there and watch it fast, starring our guest, Lou Diamond Phillips, available this Friday. Get Fast. Thanks for your time, Lou, and good luck.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.